But let's talk about GamerPay. I don't play Counter-Strike, and those skins, who makes them? How do people use it?
They created a tool, like a canvas, where people can create their own skins. Like you and I can go in and create skins. We can layer it on the different weapon. All the weapon type sits in there in 3D. Anyone in the community can do that. But that sort of overpopulate the game, they select a few of those.
A curated choice of possible designs that end up in the game.
It is very much like any other marketplace, right? Like except if you take like a classic Marktplatz or DBA, you take photos, you upload the photos, you put a price. We have some advantages that we have all the photos already. We know how it looks. Use some services that spin up a computer, open the game, do a 3D visualization, then take down the photo, send it to us. So you can log in with your gaming account and we can see what you have. We can tell you how much it's worth, like again, from using another service that sort of runs a market price index.
How does the ownership of these skins work?
If we start with the players themselves, they from a behavioral point, they act as if these were physical items, like literally stuff they own. Like they see it fully one-to-one, similar as an ownership. They have it on their game account, so it sits in there. They have the same nervousness as anyone else would have if they had like €1,000 on some wallet. If you look at it from the game, in most games, it's something you license, or kind of like an ebook. So it's more like a right to the actual graphic layer and at a point in time and so on and so forth. So it's more like an IP right. And if you look at it from a regulatory point of view, it's looked at as mostly as services, actually. It's a digital service you buy. And that's why there's a lot of tax problems in it, because it's not seen as a digital good. Let's say you owned it and it sits on a blockchain and it's sort of like you have it, then as long as a game is involved, they still have the right to how they want to portray it and give you, if they want to produce another million of it, they have the right to do it, right? Like, sure, you own this line on a on a blockchain, but then what happens if they do something else and they don't allow you to use it in the game, and it's basically worthless.
You guys started by really looking into safety. You mentioned this was not in the end what user really wanted. And then you evolved into a real marketplace.
You have this growing population of young gamers that play different games, and they do really want to express themselves in the games as they do in the real world. And in some of the games like Counter-Strike, you're actually allowed to resell and buy these items as if they were, let's say, physical ownership. And that means that there's this huge grayish kind of market where people trade like they did on Facebook groups before Facebook Marketplace. They trade in all kinds of crazy ways. There's a ton of scamming. So there's just a need for a trusted middleman. Early on, we started out being this digital middleman. And obviously, we did all the product work, like by the book. Obviously, you talk to people, you survey people, you do prototyping, all the right things. Then you launch the product and you're like, no one's using this product. And then back out and talk to a ton of customers. And it was pretty evident that we had misread the dynamic between the buyer and the seller. So our product was fantastic for buyers because they're the ones typically getting scammed. But it's really the sellers that have the power. The seller has the power to say, hey, I'm only accepting PayPal. I'm only accepting Venmo. I don't really give a shit. And we couldn't convince them to use our solution until we started to build marketplace functionality. So we built out basically a storefront for them, which meant that instead of you having 200 messenger chats and WhatsApp chats, they could just say, hey, just look at my store, just buy it, and you pay with GamerPay. And then you can, I'll send it to you once I know you paid, which I get a notification from GamerPay.
So it sounds like there's a lot of really direct learnings from the classified marketplaces, but there's also a lot of things that are actually newer and faster and much more fully digital in terms of instant transactions, the ability to create new skins, move them that are different. So it sounds really like a lot of fun. How big do you expect this business to become?
Our ambition is to do a global $1 billion GMV on what we do. I think if you look at it, there's an opportunity of $100 million out there, and that's not like, you know, owning 100% of the market or anything like that. That's actually owning like 20% of the market at a 5% take rate.
What was your journey like before you started GamerPay?
If we go back and actually start a little bit from where you and I met each other, so that was in the eBay days. eBay was a super fun place to be, and eBay Classified had a lot of autonomy. I feel that it was a global company and huge, but it did have a lot of entrepreneurial local spirit in the way that it was built with the local country organizations, and often you had local tech as well, which sort of gave almost full autonomy for the people operating. It's actually even fun to do these kind of smaller business things with big impact. The numbers maybe not huge, but it's super fun. And I don't really want to be great at doing big corporate stuff like that. Quite a lot on the internal side, as opposed to just thinking about business problems. And you know, almost sort of throw yourself in front of different organizations to allow the team to actually execute. So for me, it became very attractive when I ran into Mads, who was the co-founder of Trend Sales. One thing that was interesting with those guys were they had sort of mobile play like Vinted, and they did get some traction. They had definitely made it much better than like the 90% of other apps that looked like them. So I thought, hey, let's try that. It's still sort of a scale up. They have money, but I sort of get to do more entrepreneurial stuff. And that was great. Like, it was really fantastic because it's like learning from the front seat when you join that. They have a plan, but it's still totally chaotic. Facebook Marketplace suddenly launches in the middle of it, and everyone uses those guys. They are on every app in the world. Like you're f***ed. And you sort of, over a few weeks of time, do these strategic changes from sort of in our case, like a general classified concept and into like a fashion vertical. And then once we did that, we start to realize, okay, we're actually competing against a local competitor. And yeah, need to really do payments really well. It became evident that had a really good position in Denmark, but that also, like many of the other markets, were essentially won, like really won by Vinted, or in the Netherlands it was like United Wardrobe. Or so ended with a really good business, but still sort of with an ambition to do some stuff on my own. Met Rasmus Busk, who's like a serial entrepreneur. Super cool to work with him. Like, I don't really care what the project is. It's fine. Let's just try something, because he started a couple of businesses before, so I knew he kind of knew how to at least give the freedom while still sort of managing from a business side. I meet Martin, and so I knew him from Trend Sales. He was co-founder. He's like a really brilliant guy, Swiss Army knife, can code, can do marketing, can do a lot of, like, really a lot, but he needs some sparing as well, to sort of not do everything all the time. And he was like, hey, I think this is a great opportunity. I want to gather a team. I know you are busy with what you're doing, but hey, would you consider joining this?
I've learned two big things, which is one is that digital goods marketplaces is a kind of a more complex version of the real goods marketplaces, and some of complexity comes from the nature of the products, but some of it is also regulation and how global and fast the trade is. But another one, in the end, what drives you and how does your life story fits into this? And that is people that you really enjoy solving difficult problems with, and people who see the world similarly enough that your view on how to solve it and where to go matches. And it is really about the people to work with that drives the next ideas.